Now,
Right.
to MyndFit second live Q&A. Nick and I aren't together today, and we don't have any guests. So if you're watching this, we'd really love you to come on live. And if this time doesn't work out for you and we can find another time that works for a group of people, we'll jump on that and make it as accessible as possible, because we'd love some live questions as we talk durable along the way. So firstly, how's your week been, Nick?
Very quiet.
Yes, you haven't worked at all.
No work, and the legs are a little sore from all the walking. Making the most hours.
Fantastic. We haven't had any. I'm all right. I'm just pretty cruisy. I'm keeping really busy. Obviously, in MyndFit work, doing Uber Eats as well to get pay the bills. And I just started organising the career charity match again. So we ran a charity match for a couple of organisations with mental health at the start of this year. And I just put it on hold for this season, just waiting for the COVID restrictions to ease. And so I just basically sent all the players a message today to confirm that they'll play. And then just, sent a couple of messages out to new players for this year. So, make some announcements in the next few days. And, so it's pretty exciting. So
it's interesting you mentioned that, because I was talking to one of our coaches last night about potentially us doing a 2020 against the footy club to raise funds for mental health.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you know much about mine. So I basically reached out to most of the best players in the competition. A few I knew, played against, grew up with, but probably 80% of them I didn't know. I randomly just sent them a message and just said, "You keen to play?" And I didn't have anyone say no. Not one person said no. They all. That just showed me, and I guess this is very relatable to the people out there who might be listening to this or watching this and might be scared to open up about your mental health. But no, I had 32 guys right back within 10 minutes of getting the message saying yes, they're on board and they'll do whatever they can to support the mental health of the competition. And I think for guys to do that was incredible. And I think from memory, 20 of them were either captains or coaches of their club. So you got the leaders of a club, males who are between the ages of 25 and 40, putting their hand up. And it's exciting to do it again. From that game, I think at least 4 clubs have got a program into their club to run mental health programs, and they're really taking it quite seriously, which is, fantastic. So.
Yeah, it's something we've taught about at our club about, putting in a program for mental health, and, being able to talk with the club as one, including the footy club. And something we did last season was for the bushfires, we did a 2020 fundraiser, which players could buy their position into the team. We ran an auction. It was really, really good spirits. A lot of footy career clubs, there can sometimes be a tension. So it was good to get us together to have that healthy competition. So it'd be nice to have something, start a tradition there to, you have a 2020, have a bit of a, trophy. I think the footy boys won last season. So
that adds to it.
Yeah. So it'd be nice to have a cause that the club can stay strong to. To give back to the community, but support the club as well in terms of the players.
What club are you playing at?
I'm with Lorimer.
I just write that down. I know Nick and myself are working on presentations and stuff for career clubs at the moment. So I'm gonna probably in the next couple of weeks work on something. You're one of the ambassadors, so you'll know about all that.
I said to one of the boys last night that I'm working on being able to do presentations, and I'd love to be able to, it's all one thing to stand up on the internet or stand up in front of people you don't know and talk, but to stand up in front of your mates and, essentially the guys you go into battle with.
Yeah.
And to speak openly with them. And
we might have to hit Lorimer Cricket Club up this week, and they can be our test run for our first.
I think they would be more than willing to.
If they did an awareness session, and then we potentially did an education session post, that'd be awesome. So, yeah, and I guess for the people watching that, Nick's one, myself, and there's 5 or 6 others who are ambassadors of MyndFit now, and we are creating awareness and education sessions that will be available for groups, sporting clubs, or anything like that over the time. So, we've got Nick, who's a tradie. We've got a couple other tradies, Big Tonks, Dan Brosnan. We've got an ex-Olympian, Amanda Ross. So there's a few of us that will be available. So if people watching this and they want to reach out and have someone come and speak at their club or workplace, just hit us up. But today, we'll stop talking about our charity matches and stuff, which all is relevant. We're going to talk a little bit about sort of our stories, because we've sort of had a couple of questions in regards to a few things, and I think the best way might be to explain our stories. And Nick's had a lot of people reach out to him to ask what MyndFit does and what Nick Sutherland does at MyndFit. So I'm going to ask, and there's a bit of a Q&A with the great Nicholas Mills. And first question is I'm going to ask is, what drew you to MyndFit or Nick Sutherland?
What drew me to him was, well, first of all, it was the trademark guys referring me to him. And before that, I'd listened to him speak on their podcast. And there was just something about the way he talked. It seemed a bit of the first feeling was it was a bit of a no-nonsense approach.
Yeah.
He wasn't going to let me sit there. He wasn't going to throw me a pity party like I had in the past. And he pulled, within the first 5 minutes of my first session, he pulled me up on something. But I think it was also the fact that it was ex-army. There was just something about that really stood out to me.
Yeah.
Something about that really stood out to me and kind of drew me to him.
And I guess when you think of army, you think of hard ass, but he's not like that. Yeah. I mean, he's got that in him, but he's really compassionate and caring. Which you pick up really quickly as well. Like he's got his way of, not letting you sit in the pity party, but just saying, what you're experiencing is okay, and I'm not judging you for it.
Yeah. So, yeah, definitely.
You reached out. Did you reach out at the start of this year?
Yeah, so it was about Feb. I just put up on Instagram that I was looking for someone new to speak to, and I tagged Trademark in it, in the story, just to be a bit of a hope they could share it and someone would come to me.
Yeah.
But they messaged me straight away and said, "Hey, we've got this bloke down in Melbourne. We would love to, we reckon it would be great for you to speak to." At that stage, I was onto my 3rd counsellor. And yeah, it was that Nick made contact. They also messaged Nick and said, "Hey, we've got this guy. Would love for you guys to connect."
Yeah.
And it went from there. Nick was in Thailand at the time, messaged me, organised my discovery session. And what actually really clicked with me and Nick, or what clicked for me, was before my first session, I was in the car park out the front, and Nick was going down the road quickly, and I was really early, and I was crossing the road in my trademark shirt, trademark hat, and he came up to me. He's going, "Oh, I just want to get a photo of you. Like, I don't see trademark people in the wild that often." And he's turned around to me. He's going, "Oh, what brings you down here today? I said, oh, I'm actually here to see you. So it was a good laugh. And then, you know, kind of, he messaged the trademark boys and said, oh, we ran into each other, and
yeah,
you know, he got us talking about trademark. And yeah, it was, I feel that beginning kind of helped with the gelling.
Yeah. Just a bit of humour.
Yeah, it was that, being able to have a laugh, and yeah, it was, I guess that was really what, you know, helped with that discovery session, and, you know, having that connection. So
I guess more on MyndFit soon, but I mean, prior to this point, what was sort of going on, we won't go into too many details about anything that might trigger people, but, you know, sort of where was your mindset at? You mentioned you'd seen 3 counsellors, you know, why do you feel that wasn't working for you as well?
The first counsellor, I just felt I was sitting there and just talking. And there was no feedback. He would just write notes. And after 4 weeks, he hadn't really turned around and gone, oh, let's address something here. Let's address something there. Yeah. So I just felt I wasn't getting anything out of it. Another one I saw, which was when I was about 16, 17, and when I tried to find her again, couldn't find her.
Yeah.
And then the third one I got referred to, I called them and I spoke to the receptionist to book an appointment. And it was just the way the receptionist kind of handled things kind of turned me off. It was like, and I think that's what, again, helps with Nick. You know, when I first booked in this, you know, I spoke with Nick and he made the booking.
Yeah.
Whereas, yeah, speaking to a receptionist, there was something about the way she handled the situation that I was just going, nah, this guy's not for me. And yeah, that was in October that I,
that comment. That comment adds a lot of pressure onto my job with Nick now, because I'm the one that answers the phone sometimes. No, I'm just joking. I'm just joking.
You're generally pretty good. It's
generally
have a nice conversation with it.
Yeah. So,
it's you know, like Nick, you're very, you know, it's good to talk to you and have someone that's understanding of what you're going through.
Yeah.
Opposed to receptionists who at times, you know, they may not necessarily be interested in what's going on. It's their job to book in their appointment.
Yeah, so you just get an energy feel off someone pretty quickly, and So, I mean, what was your headspace at? Why were you going to see a counsellor in the first place?
I just wasn't feeling right in the head. Was feeling down a lot. I'd quit a job where my regional manager had come to me and said, "Hey, I'm worried that, you know, you don't see yourself," and I just brushed it off.
Typical.
And I even messaged him yesterday to thank him for bringing the awareness to me.
Yeah.
Because I just brushed it off, going, nah, there's nothing wrong. But after he asked about the third time, I went and actually saw the doctor.
Yeah.
And I was just in a dark place and couldn't think clearly. Like Nick describes it, spaghetti brain.
Yeah.
I was in a constant spaghetti brain. I've always said it was like voices inside my head. Just needed a way to deal with that. And I found with the first counsellor that I saw about it, just wasn't getting addressed.
Well, and I guess a lot of people I speak to, and this is from my experience as well, a lot of the time when you go into counsellor, and this is the individual's responsibility as well, is you just end up talking about your problems, which he's just ruminating in them and he's sitting in them. And
Yeah.
for the other 23 hours of the day, that's what you're doing in your head
Yeah.
anyway.
Well,
So,
it hasn't been till recently where I've looked back at it and some of the stuff that I did talk about, and it was like, shit, how did I not realise back then that there was an issue?
mm,
And it, like I said, he didn't really say anything, but I'd start talking and just rambling on. But then you're kind of like, oh shit, I didn't realise back here I was having an issue. And
yeah.
when this happened, why didn't I pick up on it then? Yeah, and it's been recently I've opened up my eyes and gone, they did make me aware of triggers in the past.
Yeah. Yep.
But yeah, it was just the way Nick went about it with, handing you tools. So it wasn't you sitting there just talking. It was, you talk a little bit and go, oh, well, this is what we've got. This is the way we can look at it. And having those tools to be actually able to deal with a situation.
Yeah. Oh, perfectly described, I think. You go in, you address, you talk about something. He sometimes pull you up, sometimes he doesn't. Sometimes he'll let you go because there might be something a bit deeper that you just not getting to just yet. From there, you had your discovery session with Nick. How did you feel walking out of that session? I mean, did you book in straight away to the 12-week program, or was it something you thought about? Or
it was something I thought about at first.
Yeah.
And it was the cost of it, basically. I was basically looking at the cost of it and going, how am I going to afford this? How am I going to afford this?
So that's a great topic because you were seeing free counsellors and they weren't working, I'm guessing. So
yeah,
I mean,
and that's what I said to Dad in the end. I said, it's come to a point. At the end of the day, the counsellor on a mental health program is free.
Yeah.
And he was a bit, you're spending so much money on these sessions. You're spending money on these. I go, what uses the free sessions had for me?
Yeah.
What, do I just keep going and seeing a free counsellor? I said, it comes a point where you're just going, I've got to invest in myself. And that's what it is. It is an investment in myself. It's not some counsellors where it's you fix the situation at that moment.
Yeah.
Nick gives you the tools to continue, pretty much any situation that is thrown at you.
Yeah. The other thing with money is, I wrote about this the other week. It's also accountability when you have to put money down to something, and for a multi-millionaire, he might look at Nick's sessions and go, that's not much, but he probably wouldn't see Nick. He'll probably see someone that charges 5 times as much.
Yeah.
Because it does. And obviously there's people out there genuinely can't afford it, and that's okay too. But I found my best results came in the last 10 months when I paid to stay in a mental health clinic, and when I paid, a couple of grand to do some therapy with Ryan Hassan at the Centre for Healing, and then when I paid Nick, I didn't work for 18 months before I went into the hospital clinic, and I was, forking out, probably lost about, because I wasn't working in that month, and of November, December, January, I probably lose 12 grand on work, and then you lose. Well, you don't lose, you invest 5 or 6, 7 grand in yourself. So it's a 20 grand turnaround. But the way I looked at it is, it's going to give me the skills to be able to earn money in the future. Not take sick days, not do all that. So if I'm investing 20 grand now, it's like a business venture.
No, that's exactly what I was going to say. It's no different to a business. There's always a startup cost for the long-term investment.
Yeah, and I sat there and I had the headspace, and I understand a lot of people don't have the headspace to work through this, but I had this little like gap where I could go, all right, this might cost me 20 grand. But if I get a full-time job next year, then that's, 40 to 60 grand. Where the
Yeah,
last 18 months I haven't even worked. So I'm already getting my money back because I'm getting a
yeah,
job. And then if you get pay rises accordingly, I mean, and that's what, I look at these days is, all right, this is basically a course which is going to help me develop as a person.
yeah. But that, it's, like you said there, I feel that well, I'm in a company where, in terms, there's not a lot of room for growth because it's just me and my employer.
Yeah.
Um, but I know with the attitude I did have, if I was in a big company, I would just be that, bottom kicker. But I feel since seeing Nick and just changing my attitude to things, that I've gone from that person that they would sit there and go, no, he's just showing up, does his 8 hours and heads home, that I'd contribute a bit more.
Yeah.
And like you said, be able to go for that promotion, able to get that little bit of extra pay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and not necessarily through even just my work ability. Just the way I can address a team or handle situations.
Well, yeah, and you're right. The investment isn't always, and I didn't think this conversation was going to go down this path, but it has. So let's flow with it. It doesn't just pay you back with money; it pays you back with contentness in life and experience. And you don't just improve your work stuff; you improve the way you play sport. The way you interact with friends or family. Time. If you, and I not words into your head, but I'm guessing when you're suffering some mental health issues prior to getting the help that you need, you're probably wasting a lot of time while you're sitting on the couch doing fuck all,
Yeah,
and or spending a lot of money on things you don't need.
yeah, absolutely. But we spoke before we went live about things I've been doing during the week when I'm not working. And it's that thing. 12 months ago, I probably would have been sitting there going, couch potato, dwelling on things. Whereas now I'm able to look for the positivity in it. Whether that is making videos, talking about mental fitness and but even like you said, it changes the way we have our conversations. And perfect examples, I was speaking right at the start, wanting to be able to hold those charity matches. Without that investment, there's no way I would have been thinking that way.
You don't. Yeah, you don't. Your brain's, as we said, it's such a spaghetti brain, which is just so foggy and cloudy that you don't have the clarity to put yourself out there to actually take on extra tasks when you actually do have the time, because there's a massive difference between busy and productive.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I know 12 months ago I probably wouldn't have been, right now I would have been like, no, I'm super busy. I can't do a live video every Friday. But in reality, I'm sitting on the couch doing fuck all.
It was like, I can't remember the episode, but one of the episodes Nick and Ryan did, and Nick mentioned about changing the wording from, how often when we run into a mate, he's going, oh, how you going? Oh, busy.
Yeah.
But changing that wording, because it is that thing. We also go, I did it the other day. I've been sitting on the couch for the last few weeks. And someone said, oh, how you going? Oh, yeah, busy. It's like, no, I'm not.
Yeah. We tell ourselves we tell ourselves we are busy because it makes us feel better. But
makes us important as well, I guess.
Yeah, it puts ourselves. Yeah, but being busy doesn't make you important.
No. No.
And the thing, everyone's busy because even if you're sitting there, you're doing something. So of course you're busy. So
Yeah.
it's whether you're being
Invested in that
productive.
TV series.
Yeah. So I mean, how since making that step, investing in yourself, how have things changed for you?
The simple term is for the better, but just the awareness. Um, and we spoke about it like a bit at the end of last week with the guilt, and to an extent, it had led me to a bit of the guilt because I had the awareness and the tools that when I do speak to a friend and see they're struggling, it's like, it was like, oh, if only you knew, if only you knew.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess the biggest thing is the awareness that of the environment and the people around me.
And we had a phone conversation basically about this at one point because we both had reached a point where we probably were trying to push some of the stuff we'd learned onto people and it wasn't coming across the right way. And it comes back to not everyone wants to know everything about what we learn. But I guess we can see like little warning signs and symptoms in people that because we've seen that in ourselves. And but yeah, we've got to realise that they will ask for help if they want it.
We can't push that. Can't push it on them.
Yeah, and you can't. It's like I remember probably 8 or 9 years ago when I started really being open about my mental health on Facebook. Some random messaged me and said, go this long spiel and basically said this tablet will cure your depression. And I was like, don't push your shit on me. I've got myself under control. Like,
Yeah.
It turns out I didn't have myself under control, but I still didn't want them. I still don't want that magic pill. But yeah, it was like it's one of those things. It's like you don't want people push things on you. So we both had to understand that we weren't going to push things on people, and we just needed to understand that we'll just share things in this kind of way, and if people come to us, then we can help.
But I think it comes down, a lot of things that the more we push people to do something, the more they're going to push back or fight against what we want.
I think this is a great segue into something we were talking about off air. Is a lot of parents are probably struggling with their kids at the moment who aren't going to school, who are probably acting out in some point because their whole life's been flipped upside down. So they're not acting out because they want to act out. They're acting out because something's drastically changed in the world and they don't get it. They don't have the brain capacity to understand what's happening. And it comes back to like, what were we just talking about? I just lost my whole train of thought.
The pushing back.
Yeah, and so when a parent tries to get their kids to do something, they push back more. And I guess, what's your advice on that to those that, because this isn't just parents v like kids, this can be partner v partner, you v anyone really.
And it's that that fighting fire with fire mentality almost.
Yeah. So I think for me, the number one thing is, just lead the way, and when they're ready, they'll come. But also make sure that the doors ajar. So when they're ready, the door's open.
The door's always open for them.
Yeah, it's not locked. The door's not locked.
Setting the example.
Yeah.
So for myself, I've got a 14-year-old sister who's doing the homeschooling, and she mentioned the other day when the announcement of stage 4 extensions came through, kind of broke down of the whole, I don't get to see my friends. She just didn't understand it.
Yeah.
And I guess you got to be the role model to an extent. So in my, if I'm sitting there doing the same thing going, I don't get to see my mates. I don't, all my mates live in regional Victoria. So if I'm sitting there going, my mates have got freedom, this is crap, I don't get to see my mates, that energy is going to reflect throughout the whole house.
Mm.
And if she sees me reacting like that, it's going to encourage her to go, oh, well, this is what older people are doing as well.
Yeah.
Whereas if I'm sitting there, if I continue to talk my positivity and talk the positives of the situation we're in, it leaves, like you said, leaves that door ajar that if she can sit there and come to me and go, hey, I'm curious about why you're saying things this way, or why you're dealing with the situation in this manner.
Yeah. I think, it's brilliant. Like, I'm seeing a lot of adults who are acting like kids in the way they're blaming the world at the moment and blaming, and I think we quickly got to, just set back. I'm not having a go at them because I get it. I understand it. And I've been there in the past where everything is just, when you don't have any control of a lot of things, then you just quickly forget about what control you do have. And I think what control we do have, and I guess we're leaders of this now, like having worked through our own stuff, is that we've got to act accordingly. So other people then look at us, not to say that like we're not better. We just worked through a lot of shit. Like 12 months ago, both of us would have been the perfect people not to follow. So it's like, it's as you said, being there and setting the example. Doing what you can to the best of your ability rather than complaining about what you can't do. Because there's always opportunity. There's just, someone said this the other day, but most billionaires make their money during periods like this. That's just because they get to work. They find where people want to stop and give up and jump on that. And so it's quite, there's always opportunities. I think leading the way, and we've both spoken to people who are leading the way, but they're still struggling with that. And I think that's okay. Like, no one's going to perfect it.
Yeah.
Right.
It was, like you said, it's some, potentially people look to us in a time like this. And that was something I became aware of very early, luckily. And it is easy to get caught into that hole of blaming, blame Dan Andrews, blame whoever you can.
Yeah.
But it was coming to that awareness that if I went online and sat there blaming, I am aware there's people that do watch what I post. And that if someone who often reaches out to me about things sees me posting that, how are they going to respond to me posting that stuff? Is it going to be beneficial to them?
Well, and that's the thing. It's a lot of the stuff I'm seeing on social media. And I did a live video about this a few weeks ago, is the fact that social media and the back and forth, the division that's being created, and people are like, oh, the government's making this division. Well, no, we have control as human beings not to buy into the shit that we're sold. Like, that's just reality. So if someone's fighting on Facebook or Instagram about something, you're just doing exactly what you're accusing people higher up of doing. You're just doing it on a lower level. So it's like, and I've seen it. I went through a phase where I read everything because I wanted to see the effect it had on me. And I'm in a very mentally healthy, strong place, but it was still affecting me, like seeing the fighting. And I just said, in my live video, because a lot of these people are like, oh, what about the mental health of Victorians? And I was like, what you're doing is creating just as much damage because people are reading it and they're seeing division, and no one wants to see division.
Well, it's like kind of what, briefly, like, when they say the stigma of mental health, and it's something Nick's touched on in the past, was by us saying this, there's a stigma, there's always going to be a stigma. And like Gus said on the podcast the other day, we all know the stats.
Yeah.
If we're not aware there's a mental health issue in Australia, we're hiding under a rock, basically.
Yeah.
It's
100%.
100% when people, but also I found there was a lot of misinformation getting shared as well.
Yeah.
And like, honestly, at the start of, just before stage 4 was announced, I deleted Facebook. So I've been off it for 2.5 months now.
Yeah.
Because similar to you, I was felt I was in a mentally strong space, and I was looking through and reading everything, just to see how people were, to get a tone of how people were reacting. But then I found it I was dragging myself down.
Yeah.
And it was, again, I guess, having that awareness to go, well, this is disrupting me, and it's sending me to destructive thinking. So I'm gonna remove that.
You set a boundary for yourself.
Yeah, and I said to one of my good mates the other day, he was kind of questioning me on it. I said, to an extent, because he kind of questioned why I still had Instagram.
Yeah.
I said, I feel Instagram, I can choose more what I read.
Yeah.
In terms of, it's all pictures, and I'll flick through. If a picture really grabs my attention, I'll stop and I'll read the caption. Whereas Facebook is more text. So you're scrolling, you're constantly reading. But I even said, like, the conversations I've had since removing it with friends.
Yeah.
That the conversations I'm having on an emotional level are a lot stronger. But even just general conversation, because I'm not seeing pictures of or statuses about what they've been doing with their lives. I'm not assuming what's going on. I'm actually having to ask the question.
So it's great. We're sort of headed out of that topic because it's not a topic I like talking about so often. But what we can probably talk about now is, setting boundaries for yourself. So one of them for you is, you don't have Facebook. What are some other boundaries that you've set in the last sort of 6 to 8 months, which has helped you? Because one of the things I learned in the mental health clinic is you need to set boundaries for your own personal. And it's not and then I watched a Kelton video yesterday about setting boundaries as well, and it's got nothing to do with the other person, and people will take it personally, but that's on them. What other boundaries have you set yourself?
Just like limiting myself. So in terms of, we've basically got one lounge room at our house.
Yeah.
And, typical dad, he rules the roost, and what he wants to watch gets put on. And he's the kind of person that will he'll watch the Channel 9 afternoon news, then the Channel 10 news, then the 9 news, then ABC news. And, having so much media thrown at you, I found that disturbing me.
Yeah.
So limiting myself, and I'll occasionally watch the news at night, to see what's going on.
Yeah.
But mainly the only news I really watch is I'll listen to the Sunday press conference to go, hey, this is what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the only reason I'm doing that is because I want to know how it's affecting my work.
Yeah. We actually need to know some of the stuff.
I don't want to be the bloke that walks, I don't want to walk to the supermarket with no mask on
and go, I didn't know it was news.
Yeah, I don't watch news. I don't watch,
So I don't know how well that's going to stand up in court, to be honest.
No, I'm a hermit.
Yeah. I actually remember I did a talk at Kelton Footy Club a couple of years ago, and I drove past a cop car who pulled someone over, and about 800, 900 metres down the road, the lights were on behind me, and they pulled me over, and they're like, "Oh, you realise you got a light out?" And I'm like, "No, I didn't. That's so I apologise for that." And they're like, "That's okay. Where are you staying?" So I was like, "Look, I'm from Melbourne. I'm staying in this hotel or whatever." And then they're like, "That's no drama. Just go there and get it fixed tomorrow when you drive back." They asked if I was driving Della. I was like, "Yep."
Yeah.
And they said, "We also pulled you over. Do you know there's a new rule in?" And it was the rule where you could only go 40 kilometres past cop cars.
Yep.
And I was like, I've never, ever heard of that. I'm like, they're like, do you have a radio? I'm like, my radio's broken in my car, and I proved it to them.
Yeah.
And they're like, what about TV? I'm like, I work on PT. I'll work between 5 and 8 at night. So I don't watch when else is the news on, really.
Yeah.
I really had to prove that because they just didn't believe that I didn't watch the news. I was like, genuinely.
People are shocked by it when you say, I don't watch the news.
But I mean, I went through phases where I watched it so regularly, but it's what gets ratings is negativity, really. So I try and now follow things on Facebook which share really positive stuff, like people giving stuff, or I love those when the veterans and army people come back to their families and kids and surprise them. Like, I love that.
Yeah.
Sort of fills me up.
Yeah, that's definitely the it just fills you up a bit.
And you're not using it for your happiness. You're just saying, like, how, rather than watching all the shit, you're saying, how good is the world? And
there was one. It's a bit more sad, but it was a group. It was they're at the funeral, but it was the whole troop got together and they did a haka. It was over in New Zealand.
Yes, I've seen that.
And my family's from New Zealand, and to be able to watch that, like, it is a bit sad situation, but the emotion and there was around 50 big blokes there doing this haka.
Yeah.
And there was something about it. It gave me a shiver, but also, it made me feel good as well to an extent.
Well, and that's the thing. I think what we're trying to say here is that we're choosing to see the positive things in life rather than the negative. We're not buying into the negative stuff that people are selling. I won't say media, because it's not just media; it's social media. It's people that are, bringing others because they cut them off and stuff like that. But like I as I'm doing Uber Eats this year, to sort of pay the bills, and if people don't want me to Uber Eats, sign up to online meditation with MyndFit. Help us there. And no, do what you want. And on Mother's Day, it was lockdown, and there was obviously a huge deal around Mother's Day lockdown. And I had about 5 or 6 orders in the morning, which they were definitely sent to mothers. And there was one I remembered because it was in a retirement village, and I'd never been in there before, and dropped it off. And I remember the mum came out, and she was obviously older, and the smile on her face, it just filled me up in that moment. Like, how good is this? Like, yes, they can't see each other, but they're embracing what they can do.
Yeah.
And on Sunday just gone, I did a delivery, and this lady came to the door, and admittedly, a lot of people are coming to the doors at the moment. So I don't give them the food. I put it on the step and, thank them and stuff like that. But she came out and she goes, I saw your name and I had to come out. She's like, you did a delivery for me on Mother's Day. And I'm like, she's like, my mum was in like and I'm like, yeah, I remember that. She's like, you remember? And her smile when I said I remembered it, it lit up. And she was like, thank you so much for doing that. And admittedly, I was doing my job, but it was just so good to see both people that filled them with joy. They couldn't see each other on the day. And I think at a time like we're in now, we just need to embrace what we can do.
Yeah, well, like you talk about that feeling of joy, and it's something small, but I mentioned before that I like to go for my walks every morning. And so I've recently moved back to the area I grew up in. And along my walk, there's this bridge. And I remember as a 4-year-old, 5-year-old, when, Winnie the Pooh was the big thing. I used to throw the stick off the bridge and watch it, float under to the other side. I used to rush to the other side.
Yeah.
And I was watching these 2 kids. They would have been about 3 and 4, brother and sister. And they were doing the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And it was just, like, I kind of stopped for a second. And it was like, it was that, it reminded me of me and my little sister. My middle sister.
Yeah.
It's what we used to do.
Yeah.
And it was, it made me smile. It just, fills you with the good stuff.
Well, it's just seeing that there's still, because we grow up if we're watching so much other stuff, we forget there's so much good out there.
Yeah.
Like,
But I think we
yeah,
also get technology.
yeah,
And, this is the perception that kids are always on their technology, always on their technology. So to be able to see that, it was like, no, they're not always on their tech,
nah, they're not.
And it was like, perfect examples, you go past any footy oval these days, so like, and there's kids running around kicking the footy everywhere. There's I don't know if you've noticed, but I feel that since the lockdowns have happened, I'm seeing more people kicking a ball in the footy ovals. Families out there having picnics, and it's incredible.
Oh, the amount of family bike rides I'm seeing.
Yeah.
Oh, I've never seen families ride bikes together. Never.
Yeah.
But,
No.
so
it's like we used to do it. We used to do it every weekend growing up.
Yeah.
And then, how often common it is now to speak to someone and go, "Oh, no, I don't own a bike."
Yeah.
I don't. And kicking the footy, riding bikes. It's just stuff we haven't seen it's stuff that we did as kids, but it kind of went missing. But it's having that comeback.
Yeah, no, like I'm not a parent yet, but I think it's for parents that might be watching this. I love to give the advice if they see their kids struggling. Remember your childhood. What filled you with joy? Because kids haven't changed. Like kids are still kids.
Yeah.
So I know there's other elements to it now, and it can be quite difficult. But remember what you did as kids, and go out there and do it with them, and show them how fun it is. Like go and build a cubby house with them. Go and climb a tree with them, and get a bike and go for a ride with them. Get the ball and play with them, and just show them so that hopefully they'll just sort of do it themselves. Because that's the one rule I've got when I go into parenthood is we'll have a study, and basically that's only where work gets done. Like it'll be, no technology basically outside of that, because if I'm on it, then they're going to want to be on it.
Yeah.
That's not going to be for everyone. That's just something that we want to do going forward, because, I love being active myself. So I remember my favourite childhood memories were playing the hook shot to a cricket ball through my bedroom window. And it got to the point where Mum didn't even fix the window. She just stuck some cardboard on it and said, "You guys can sleep in the cold because you keep breaking the window." And we went, "That's fine with us."
We ended up putting the trampoline against the window. So you play the hook shot, but it would come back at you twice as hard.
Yeah.
But the benefits of that, I've got a good cut shot now.
So I guess how else we'll finish it off. Sort of how has Nick helped change your mindset along the way?
To see the positivity, like we're just talking about now. I think I got caught up in the diagnosis. Like when the doctor turned and said, "Well, you got depression," I feel I got really caught up in that.
You thought that was who you were.
Yeah, and it defined who I was. And now I kind of laugh at it now.
Yeah.
I laugh at the fact that I got so caught up in a title.
Yeah.
But what Nick's taught me is it is just an emotion. It's, sadness is an emotion, but, happiness is, joyful is, they're all emotions. And I guess he's really reflected to, like you, I like being fit and active. So he's able to refer it to that and go, your fitness, you're fit, you're healthy, and you find your balance, and your nutrition, you're fit, you're healthy, unhealthy, you find your balance. And it's the same with emotions. There's happy and there's depressed, sad, but you find that balance. You're not every day is going to be, rainbows and lollipops. It's some days are going to be, but you find that balance. So I guess that's one of the best things he's taught me is not to get caught up in the title.
Yeah, no, I think that is basically a perfect example of everything is impermanent. So,
Yeah,
sometimes you're going to wake up and you're going to feel like shit, but that will pass.
yeah. Well, I
It
caught
will.
myself early in the week doing it. Last week we had beautiful weather all last week, and you wanted to go out and get exercise. And this week, waking up and it was raining, and I found myself. I'm like, I felt sad and depressed. But it was then catching myself that I was being unrealistic.
Mm.
It's not Mother Nature's not coming up and going, you know what? Let's just give him a dose of rain to see how he reacts. It's you know, nature does what nature does, and it was picking up. I was going, I'm not thinking, I'm having distorted thoughts and making the most out of that situation. It was bucketing down rain, but I could still go for my walk. I just came home and had a shower.
Yeah, well, I guess probably wrap it up in a couple of minutes. But that was something I said one day. I said, "It's a beautiful day outside," when I was at Nick's, and he's like, "What defines a beautiful day?" I was like, "I do." And so when it rains now, I'm like, "What a beautiful day."
Yeah,
So it's just change. It's like it's it's changing the perception that we have internally. That is because we always, I think we grow up. Oh no, it's raining again. I can't do things. But but it's I can still do things.
yeah,
Rain's not going to kill me. It's not acid.
no,
So I do. I say, what a beautiful day. And instead of going out and doing things in the rain, if you don't want to do that, which is fine because you want to be comfortable, like I'll sit there and I'll observe what's happening out there. I'll listen to the wind. I'll listen to the storm. I'll embrace nature because it just shows. Again, everything is impermanent, and not everything is perfect. It's like it just everything's perfect with its own imperfections.
Well, an example I got on that is, I went for a walk the other day and checked the radar because I don't really want to get wet. And the radar showed nothing.
Yeah.
I got, 30 minutes into the walk and it started pelting down. And, Dad called and said, "Oh, do you want me to come pick you up?" I go, "No, it is what it is." Like,
By the time you get there, you're going to be wet anyway.
I'm going to be soaking. I may as well keep walking. And I got under the covers at the athletic track, and this lady just going, "Oh, that came from nowhere." And it was, we kind of just had a laugh about the situation that, she had done the exact same thing, checked the radar, and, it literally came from nowhere. But it was, can't do anything about it, mate. Stood under there, had a good laugh, and, rain stopped, off we went.
It's like life. It's like life. The storms are going to come. Sometimes you just got to stand back and laugh, observe it for what it is, and realize you can't do anything about it, but laugh and
Definitely.
choose the way you feel about it.
Yeah.
So
100%.
I get in trouble for this at home sometimes, but Alicia might say she's angry, and I'm like, you're choosing to be angry, so that's on you. It's not a great thing to always do. I've got to pull myself back sometimes, but
probably doesn't go down well at times.
no, but we do choose the way we feel, and there's obviously going to be emotions and that stir up things, and we don't want to be robots. We want to feel things because then we can appreciate things and all of that. But I think that's probably the one thing Nick's taught me is that every feeling and thought you have is not there forever. So just let it go when it wants to go. I think maybe we'll end this video now if you're happy to.
I'm happy to.
If anyone's got any questions, send them through to admin@myndfit.com.au, I think. I'll just check there's an AU on the end of it. Yeah, admin@myndfit.com.au. If there's any questions, we would honestly love for questions to come in. We would love for people to tune in live. We're actually, I think after this one, this will probably go onto a YouTube channel, and we'll start to share it publicly so the public can see this and really open up the forum for people that really want to improve their mental health and don't want to be stuck in it, and really look for people to ask questions and just talk with people that have like-minded experiences, I guess. So yeah, send through your questions to anyone that wants to ask any question. You can ask anonymously, that's fine. Jump on the line and we can answer questions live. But I just will end on saying one of my favourite quotes is, if it comes, let it come. If it stays, let it stay. And if it goes, let it go. I'll repeat it. If it comes, let it come. If it stays, let it stay. If it goes, let it go. Thanks for watching. Much appreciated by Nick and myself.